What's up, guys? Happy 4th of July. So I just had a large coffee and the ideas are just flowing, so I needed to make a video. All right, it all started with this memory. I don't know why I thought of this today, but when I was living in Chicago a few years ago, I was involved in a car crash. Now, get this. It was 8 p.m. on a weeknight. I was on the highway, right, going like 65 miles per hour. No other cars, no music in the car. I'm just sort of in this meditative trance by this point, when all of a sudden something hits me, like on the side rear, and I go like this. All right, well, turns out it was a semi-truck in the other lane. So here's me, there's a truck, and it was coming up close to me and wanted to change lanes. Well, the driver was so high up that he didn't see my car, so he went like this, boom, smacked into me, punctured my tire. I was like spinning, not spinning, but fishtailing. And then he passed, and we pulled over. All right, but the reason that I'm bringing this up is that during this ordeal, I had so much calm, so much just equanimity. I was just not fazed by this. And I haven't fully figured out why. I think in part it's due to that like meditative trance that I was in. But look at it this way. So if you've ever built little like Lego sets with the instructions that say put this piece here, and I'll put this piece here. So you're looking for the piece that has like the 6 dots, right? And then you find it, you put it on, and then you need that flat piece with like the 12 dots. So then you go look for that, and you put that on. You say, okay, let's go like this way, and you're just doing this in a very unemotional way, and a very practical, problem-solving way. That's how I dealt with this situation. We were pulled over on the side of the road. I was thinking, okay, insurance will pay for it. I need to get a report. Then I got to fix the tire, so I need to call the tire repair guy or whatever. Like it's just everything was like step by step, right? And in thinking about this, I realized that I had a certain acceptance of the situation, and I wasn't judging it, right? So today's video is about judgment versus acceptance. In other words, being a spectator versus being a participant, right? In this situation, I was a participant. Now, if I were to freak out about this situation and say, this is a horrible situation, this, that, right? Then I move from here to here, and I start to divorce myself from the situation, right? And when you distance yourself from the situation, you cannot act in it. So a similar example, I took an improvisation class last year. Tons of fun, just a beginner's class. And so imagine you're in this class and you need to start off a skit. So nobody knows what the skit's going to be about. You decide that. So you step on the stage and you decide, okay, I'm going to do a little baseball skit. So then you pretend to grab a bat and you say, all right, give me your best shot. And then the next person comes on, and they have to play along. So they might pretend to be the pitcher and say, all right, here it comes. But if they don't play along, look, if they say, oh, great idea, baseball, yeah, we should do a skit on baseball. Right then, on the surface, it's a compliment, but they just pulled you out of the role play. We're not on a baseball field anymore. It'd be like if they said, oh wait, so what time does class end? Or, I'm going to do the skit, but what time does class end? Right? Now what's happening? You're going into judgment, good or bad. Oh, great idea for the skit. Okay, well, you just pulled everybody out of the experience of it. Something similar happens in salsa dancing, believe it or not. So in salsa dancing, the man leads and the woman follows. So the man decides when to turn and which way to turn, etc. And so sometimes what happens is I'm doing like this turn or this series of moves, and at the end, the woman says, or she gives this nod of approval, like well done. And to me, it's the weirdest thing. It's kind of annoying. It's different if it's the teacher, right? Because then you're being evaluated. But if it's just another person in the class, it's weird. It's like, I think, what are you going to give me a letter grade at the end of this or something? So anyways, what's going on there? Okay, well, we're having an act or a role play or something, right? There's an activity, but then they want to pass a judgment on it, albeit a positive one, and say, okay, good job. But what that does is any judgment or evaluation, it pulls you out of the situation and it creates distance. Okay? So where else do you see this? You see this in sports, right? Like if you ever go to watch a professional sporting event and you catch everybody saying things like, oh, the team played really well, or they're playing really well tonight, or they sucked last night, right? That's a situation where the spectator is reinforcing, emphasizing the distinction between the players on the field and the spectators in the stands. Okay? Now, all of this then reminded me of this awesome quote, an extended quote from Erich Fromm, who's one of my favorite psychologists. He passed away in 1980, so he's not around anymore, but let me pull up this quote and read it. It's from either this essay or a book called The Creative Attitude. And it goes like this. He's talking about if you need to paint a tree, how you would go about it. So he says, if we are fully aware of a tree at which we look, not of the fact that this is correctly called a tree, but of this tree in its reality, in its suchness, and if we respond to the suchness of this tree with our whole person, then we have the kind of experience that is the premise for painting the tree. To view it from still another angle, in conceptual knowledge, the tree we see has no individuality. It stands there only as an example of the genus tree. It is only representative of an abstraction. In full awareness, there is no abstraction. The tree retains its full concreteness, and that means also its uniqueness. There is only one tree in the world, and to this tree I relate myself. I see it, I respond to it. The tree becomes my own creation. All right, that's just the first part. So what he's saying is, when you look at a tree, you can either see it as, you can either like analyze it and place it in a category, what type of tree, what species, what genus, what color are the leaves, blah, blah, blah. Or you can kind of see it as it is, like, all right, and just take it in. Okay, here's the part two, which is really awesome. What we experience when we see people is not customarily different from what we experience when we see things. What goes on when we believe we see a person? We see, first of all, marginal things. The color of his skin, the way he's dressed, his social class and education, whether he's friendly or unfriendly, useful or not useful. What we want to know first is his name. The name permits us to classify him, just as we classify the flower by saying that it is a rose. The way we perceive him is not too different from the way in which he perceives himself. If we ask him who he is, his first answer will be to tell us that his name is Jones. And if we show that we do not fully feel informed about him yet, he will add that he is a married man, a father of 2 children, and a doctor. So we see in the concrete person an abstraction just as he sees an abstraction in himself and in us. We do not want to see more. We share the general phobia of being too close to a person, of penetrating through the surface to his core. And so we prefer to see little, no more than is necessary for our particular dealings with him. This kind of marginal knowledge corresponds to an inner state of indifference in our feeling toward the other person. All right, so this all comes back. It reminds me of this idea, or this is my phrasing now, that judgment creates distance. Okay, it can distance you from another person the same way it distances you from this, whatever situation you're in and being present in that situation. And it's funny that distance is the word that comes to my mind, because what also comes to mind now is another quote from Erich Fromm, which is that the most basic human need, okay, the most basic human need is to overcome separation. All right, that's all for today.